My name is Paris. I'm a 32-year-old office employee. I joined this company right after I graduated from college, and this is my 10th year. Now that I think about it, I've been here for a pretty long time. But right now, I'm not thinking about changing jobs. Besides, I think this is a great job for me and I enjoy it. And the CEO and the CEO's wife, the vice president, are all really kind people. The company that I work at is a small family-owned business. So the kindness of the people up top makes it a lot easier for the employees to work well. In that way, this company was a great match for me. I don't have any stress with the people at work and I enjoy working at the office. However, there is just one problem, and that is the salary. The salary is way too low! A family-owned business sounds good to most, but it also means it is a fragile business that can easily be knocked down. According to the vice president who looks after the accounting, recently business hasn't been going too well and that some of the payments are behind already. It's been pretty difficult for us too. If it was up to us, we wish we could give you a better salary. But business has been difficult and we're struggling. We've even decreased all of our salaries because we know we need to pay all of our employees. Every single time that I would ask for a raise, the vice president, who was also the CEO's wife, would apologize to me with tears. When she says it to me like that, there's no way that I could continue to demand a raise. To prioritize a good working environment or a good salary. But if I chose salary here and resigned for the company, I'm sure the CEO and the vice president would be in trouble. Because all of the admin work was handled by me and me only. That was how I felt, and somehow I've dragged it on for 10 years now. And then there was just one other thing that was bothering me about this company. And that would be the CEO and vice president's daughter, Miss Karen. Their daughter was only a few years younger than me. After graduating with an associate's degree from a short-term university, in the last 8 years she's never once worked any job and instead just messes around every day of her life, even though she's already 28 years old. And here she was at the office again today, probably asking her parents for money. Mama! Oh my, Karen, welcome. What's the matter? Tonight, I'm going drinking with my friends, so can I have an allowance? Oh goodness, what are we to do with you? You really shouldn't be wasting too much money, okay? Thanks! There it is! Free income! Anytime that Karen would wander into the office, she would ask her parents for an allowance like this in front of all the employees. It was clear to all of us that the CEO and the vice president both spoiled their daughter, and whatever she asked for, they would give to her without even questioning her at all. Well, it wasn't the company money, and it was nothing for me to chime in about, so I wouldn't never say anything. But I'm pretty sure we could all tell that they spoiled their daughter too much. I'm sure Karen knew that her parents' business wasn't going well from just hearing their stories. I wonder why she doesn't even try to get a job that she can support her family with. But also, well, if she had the ability to think about things like that, then she probably would have started working a long time ago. Even though I could never say anything to them, every single time I saw Miss Karen, I couldn't help but feel bothered by it. However, the CEO, the vice president, and their daughter Karen didn't seem to notice how I felt at all. But then, one day, everybody in the company was out of the office and I was working by myself. When Miss Karen came into the office alone. Hello? Oh, where's my mom? Oh, the vice president has gone to the bank, and the CEO is having a meeting with one of our clients, and all of the other employees are out at the moment, so I'm here alone. Oh, come on! Dad and Mom both aren't here? Then there's no point in here today. I was just trying to get some more allowance from them. Oh, hey, Miss Page, look. This is the brand new purse from the huge brand. Isn't it gorgeous? I fell in love at first sight and I bought it. But that's why I'm totally out of my allowance this month. What am I gonna do? Well, what are you going to do? Well, why don't you get a job and make some money yourself? I wanted to scream at her, but all I could do was laugh dryly. But you know what? Miss Paris, you're older than me, right? Are you sure you're always okay with looking so plain all the time? You could at least have one high-brand item, don't you think? Once you pass the age of 30, if you don't have proper things on you, people are gonna laugh at you. As if to look down on me, Karen laughed and it irritated me. The reason why I can't buy any high-brand items is because the salary that your parents pay me is way too low. If anyone's gonna get laughed at, it's you, who's close to 30 and still unemployed and going out like a college student. I screamed that on the inside, but I didn't say a word outside. She was the CEO's daughter after all, so I could never say that out loud. Oh no! It's already time. I'm supposed to meet them. I'm gonna go now. If Mom comes, let her know that I came by and tell her that I'm gonna pay for my drinks tonight with the company card. As Miss Karen said that, she hurried out the door. The company card? Is that the woman planning on paying for her own drinks as a company expense? If the CEO and the vice president have agreed to this, then there's no way that as a normal employee I could ever say anything. I know that, but... Ugh! However, the more irritated I got with Miss Karen, I also started to feel sympathy towards the CEO and the vice president. No matter how hard they've worked to run their business, their useless daughter just sucks up all of their money. Even though they are financially pressured, they can't say anything to their own daughter, and I felt bad for the both of them. However, I was about to find out that that was making a big mistake. On that day, I was working in the office as usual. I'm exhausted. I finally finished the year-end review. Here, this is your tax withholding slip for the year, Mrs. Paris. The vice president handed me my tax withholding slip for the last year. However, when I looked at it, I was shocked. I just believe under my annual salary, there was clearly larger than an amount that I was ever receiving written down. What? When I looked more closely at the tax withholding slip, on the piece of paper, it wasn't my name written on it. But in fact, it was actually Miss Karen's name on the slip. Miss Karen, what is this? I couldn't help but to raise my voice, and when the vice president heard it, she started to panic. Oh dear, so sorry, I made a mistake. It's this one here. This one is your tax withholding slip, Miss Paris. That's right. This woman had made the mistake of handling her daughter's tax withholding statements to me instead of mine. The vice president was forcing a fake laugh as she handed me my tax withholding statement. But there's no way that I was going to be fooled like that. Ma'am, what is this about? Does that mean that you're paying Miss Karen a salary? And not only that, but this much more than what you're paying me? Well, that's... The vice president was panicking as her eyes started swimming around. The CEO was standing right next to her, so I decided to bite at him next. Sir, so you were paying a salary to Miss Karen, to the person who always comes in here just to get an allowance from you, who doesn't do any work around here at all. Until now, no matter how many times I've begged you to raise my salary, you always said that the business is difficult and refused. Meanwhile, you have the ability to pay an unemployed person who doesn't even do any work here a very high salary.
Well, we feel terrible about this to you, Miss Paris, but...
Don't feel terrible about it. This must be a joke. You use me left and right with this low salary, and yet you fools kept me strapped here. There's no way I'm going to continue working for a company like this. I was furious. However, when I said that, the CEO gave me an unexpected response.
Sure, you're right. I guess we have no choice. Well then, we're going to make our daughter Karen work at this company. So to give her your job, we'll need you to quit.
Huh?
You're the one who can't accept that my daughter, who's not working, is receiving a salary, right? And I was just starting to be troubled by the fact that my daughter wasn't independent yet. If Karen starts working at this company, Then it solves the issue of the salary, and it'll also be helpful for my daughter's independence. This is the meaning of 2 birds, 1 stone.
Oh, I've had enough. What do you think that your employees are? Honey, that's a great idea. You're right. We should have Miss Paris quit the company. And as long as Karen joins, then she can just do Miss Paris's job anyway.
That's true. So our daughter's going to start this company in your place. So you need to quit.
The CEO was smiling from ear to ear as he said that to me. Standing next to him, Vice President was smiling. So I also laughed and replied, "Sure, gladly."
Huh?
You say that you want me to quit this company for your daughter, right? In this case, I will do exactly as you wish. Well, since you are asking me to resign under company circumstances, I will need a grace period of 30 days. In that case, during that time, I am going to use up all of the paid vacation time that I've been accumulating over the last 10 years.
What? Wait a minute, Miss Paris. Not so suddenly.
What? But you're the one that just told me to resign, sir. Well then, thank you for the last 10 years. I started humming as I quickly gathered up my personal belongings, and even though the CEO and Vice President looked like they wanted to say something, I ignored them, and I skipped out of the office. With this, I'm free! Goodbye to these days of being used at such a low salary. Around the time that 3 months passed since I resigned from my former company, I suddenly got a phone call from the CEO.
Miss Paris, you have to help us!
Oh dear, sir, what's the matter? I don't work for your company anymore, though.
I'm sorry. I will apologize properly, so please come back to the company.
It was exactly as I expected. Although honestly, I thought that this phone call might come a lot sooner.
Ever since Karen entered the company, she's been completely useless. All the administrative work is a disaster, and we don't know what to do about it. All of the material that you've been looking after until now, we don't even know where any of it is anymore.
But even if you say that to me, there's nothing I can do. I always organized my material well enough that it didn't require an explanation, and any normal person would be able to figure out by taking one look at that.
And yet we can't figure it out, and that's why we're in trouble.
The CEO is often out of the office on external meetings, so he had left all the administrative duties to me. And the Vice President only knew about the company accounting and nothing else. All the other employees were in sales, so I'm sure they were in trouble.
It's not only that. Suddenly, the companies that we were working with said that they were going to terminate their contract with us. But we just got a notice from the tax department that they have some questions for us too. We don't know where to even start.
Looks like the seeds that I planted around were finally starting to blossom all over. Is that so? Well, that must be a handful. Your phone calls from your clients in the tax department. Is that so? Looks like it took quite some time.
Huh?
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I can't go back to that company. That's because I've already transferred over to another company. By the way, the company that I've transferred to is actually one of your partner companies that I've been placing orders with you over the years.
What?
Well, because I was fired due to company circumstances, I had to find a new job in a rush, and then when I went to the unemployment office, that Klein company had just put out a job listing. When I explained to them during the interview why I resigned from my previous company, well, it turned out to be quite the problem.
What?
Because anytime you go into an interview, they always ask you the reason for resigning from your previous company. And so I told them exactly why I was fired, and I made sure to explain it all in detail to make sure that they could properly understand what happened. And during the interview process, the person in charge of our company contract, who I'd spoken with a number of times, guaranteed that there were no issues with my work ethic. So perhaps they might have deduced that the problems were all on the company side?
No way. So that's the reason they terminated our contract?
Oh, please. Of course that's not the only reason, because ever since I left, they said that none of the work was getting done properly or on time. Even though she's my colleague now, the person in charge of your company was really frustrated. She said that ever since the administrative contract became Miss Karen, she said that the business was a joke. Deadlines were delayed, the required paperwork wouldn't arrive, and even when it did, it was full of typos and missing information. And first of all, she could barely get a hold of anybody, and whenever she would make a complaint, the Mrs. Karen would get angry in response. Anybody would terminate a contract with that!
No way.
Oh, and did you say you also got a call from the tax department? That also might be because of me. What a mess. How so sorry.
What? What? But how?
To tell you the truth, the building next door to the unemployment department is the tax department. So silly me. When I was walking towards the unemployment office, I made a mistake and walked into the tax department. When I walked in, I described in detail why I was out of a job, and that was when he informed me that that wasn't the unemployment office, but it was the tax department. Oh, silly me. I'm so clumsy.
But what does that have to do with us?
So listen, are you familiar with Corporation Tax Law Article 34?
Corporation Tax Law Article 34?
Well, in correct terms, it's actually Corporation Tax All Article 34 and the Order for Enforcement of the Corporation Tax Law Article 70. Well, to explain it to you simply, any salary that is paid to a board member or an employee who hasn't contributed to the business cannot be considered as an expense to the company. Miss Karen hasn't contributed to the business at all, and yet she was receiving a very high salary. You were considering that as an expense and maintaining low profits to keep your taxes low, but in reality, because her salary can't be considered a business expense, apparently that becomes tax evasion!
Tax evasion?
Well, I wonder how much your additional tax will be over the years, because you've been misreporting these numbers over multiple years. If they deem that it was with malicious intent, you'll probably get hit with a heavy additional tax. Looks like the vice president's gonna have her hands full with more accounting calculations. Please wish her good luck for me.
Please, wait. If that were to happen, then what's going to happen to our company? If things don't go well, we might go bankrupt.
Even if things do go well, you'll probably go bankrupt anyway, but that's none of my business anymore because, well, I'm somebody that you fired anyway. Well then, I need to get myself to work now, so all the best to you. Goodbye.
Wait, please, Miss Paris, we need you!
That CEO was still begging, but I ignored him and hung up the phone. Oh, that felt so good. What I heard after that is that the company that I used to work at collapsed soon. They were hit with an enormous additional tax from the tax department, and most of their partner companies terminated their contracts. All of the employees that were also left got tired of it, and one by one they resigned, and so it seemed that they had nobody left and no business to run. They had to let go of the business, and they were left with only debt pay, and I heard that the former CEO and his family all had to get part-time jobs to make ends meet. Well, with this, Miss Karen was now stuck in an environment where she had no choice but to work, so perhaps this is going to be useful for their daughter's independence. As for me, I am working very hard at my new company. Compared to my previous career, I also have a higher salary, and so this is the beginning of my real career. I'm going to keep working hard for another 10 years and hopefully continue to go higher. My name is Paige. I'm a 23-year-old office employee. I moved out from my family home and I live alone, but I get along really well with my family. And today we have plans for a dinner party with the whole family. That's because our amazing parents are celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary, and to celebrate their pearl anniversary, my oldest brother Paul planned a dinner party for them. He said that he reserved a high-end restaurant that is often shown on the TV and in magazines, and he said it was hard to get a reservation. Phoebe and Kevin also came home for the occasion, and we were going to celebrate with the whole family together. Grandpa Philip and Grandma Pam were overseas, and they unfortunately couldn't join us though. Oh, I can't believe we're going to a dinner at such a beautiful restaurant. It makes me nervous. I feel the same way, right, honey?
That's true. Let's see. What are we going to be able to eat here today? Huh. That's a fancy diner, isn't it? Are you guys happy with it?
Come on, honey. This is a restaurant, not a diner.
It's also my first time coming to a restaurant this fancy.
I can sense it. I have a feeling there's going to be a very big commotion here. What? Phoebe is having one of her visions.
No problem. As long as there are as many members of this family, no matter what happens, I'm sure we'll figure it out. Ta-da! That's right. And plus, today's a big celebration, so of course there's going to be excitement.
That's what we said as we walked into the restaurant. Paul was the first to speak to the staff. But then the staff member didn't even smile, and he glared at us like he was judging our family. Why do I feel like I've seen those eyes before?
Hello. I have the reservation under Paul.
But then the employee looked at me and a surprised look came over his face.
Wait a minute. Is that you, Paige?
With that voice, I remembered that this guy was Gordon, who I went to high school with. And he was always the type to suck up to those stronger than him and have the most ridiculous attitude to anybody he thought was weaker than him. He was the worst. I haven't seen this judgmental, grinning face in a while.
Hey. Do you even know the price of this restaurant? You know this isn't a family-friendly diner.
Obviously, we knew that. What kind of attitude is that to your customers?
Oh, Paige. Do you know him?
Yeah, we went to the same high school. Oh my, well that's a relief. Isn't it nice that you know somebody at such a proper restaurant like this? Oh, this has to be a joke. Do you seriously think it's nice when you look at my devastated face? My mom is usually really good reading my feelings, but I wonder what happened.
You know there aren't any discounts here. If you're gonna leave, now's your chance.
What did he say? I'm sure that sarcasm got on my mom's nerves too. It's okay, we don't need any discount, but thanks for your thoughtfulness. What? She didn't notice? Gordon then reluctantly directed us to our seats. And then he threw the menu on the table. Paul told him that we had already reserved the tasting menu, but then Gordon scrunched up his face.
The tasting menu's $300 per person, so I think it would be best for you to change that reservation. $300? Sheesh, that's expensive. Wow. Hey, you! We're here to celebrate, and I chose the tasting menu so that they won't know the prices!
And with this, Paul was also furious. We know the price already, so please move forward with the tasting menu. That was when Gordon just said, yeah, and brushed us off as he walked back towards the kitchen. But then, even though we had ordered a bottle of wine to celebrate and cheers, we waited, and it never came. I tried calling over the other employees, but all of them were on a different planet. Looks like all of them employees at this restaurant were contenders for a disappointment award.
The wine and the food that we ordered haven't arrived yet at all! Excuse me, but we haven't received any orders for this table.
Oh, this is disgusting! Excuse me? We pre-ordered the tasting menu, so the first course should have arrived as soon as we sat down. And plus, we also ordered a bottle of wine, didn't we?
I'm sorry, but customers without money are only provided the bare minimum service, so please, do order according to your means. Because when the bill comes and you say you don't have enough, that's going to be a problem for us.
What the hell did he just say? And first of all, why has he decided that we don't have money?
Well, in that case, then I'll make the payment at the beginning. And there should be no problem, right?
Nice one, Paul.
We don't take prepayments here, so please, order from the a la carte corner on the menu. That's where you'll find the items that families like yours can access. However, note that the price is dozens of dollars for a few slices of prosciutto. Because we provide rich and high-quality dishes here at this restaurant, so customers who expect quantity over quality may be dissatisfied.
Oh, what an irritating guy!
By the way, you also need to pay for the water here, so if you do get thirsty, I recommend that you go and turn the faucet in the sink and quietly get your water there.
Oh, what the hell is this guy saying?
I don't care about water or wine. I want to drink a beer.
He can be so clueless. Looks like they have craft beers here. Well then, please bring out the wine and craft beer first. I tried to reset the scene and place the order. However, Gordon's attitude only got worse.
Huh? Can the peasants really pay for that? Even though you don't have any money, you better not push yourselves too much.
When he said that, he started laughing with the employee that was standing next to him. And that laughter was beyond irritating. My shoulders were shaking with anger. Paul also looked pretty upset, and I could tell that he was furious. What was wrong with this restaurant? They were completely ruining this 30th wedding anniversary. I was no longer able to stand it, and after Paul and I made eye contact, we decided to leave the restaurants and stood up together. However, Phoebe quickly stopped us. Wait right there, Paige. If we leave, then we're doing exactly what the guy wants. That's true, but I can see it. That something outrageous is about to happen after this. What? It seemed that Phoebe could already see something happening. That reminds me that she did say that there was going to be a commotion earlier, so she must be sensing something.
Well then, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and see how it goes. How that guy chooses to proceed.
My father said that as he was grinning.
That's right. It seems like the real show hasn't started yet anyway.
Kevin also seemed to be grinning from ear to ear. My mother was also sat firmly in her seat, and she seemed strangely relaxed and calm. Why does it seem like everybody's having a great time, or is it just me? Even though the wedding anniversary is being destroyed like this, how can everybody be so relaxed? Paul and I couldn't understand at all as we continued to look at each other. 30 minutes later. It had already been 30 minutes since we arrived at the restaurant. During that time, not even the water arrived at the table, and the employees were all just looking at us and sniggering. As if to tell us to hurry up and get out, they were all completely ignoring our presence.
Don't you think it's time that you all leave already?
Gordon seemed to lose his patience, and he came over to the table.
Don't you think that it's time to bring our food to the table?
Paul didn't back down and replied,
Did you even look at the menu? Even the cheapest thing, water, costs $8, you know. With $8, you can buy enough beef bowls for the whole family. So go ahead over there.
as if $8 could feed all 6 of us. We are here to celebrate our parents' 30th wedding anniversary. Until you prepare the dishes we've reserved, we're not going to leave. When I said that again, for some reason, Gordon grinned again.
Well then, I'll prepare some dishes that are perfect for people like you.
As he said that, Gordon then walked over to a table after the customers had left, started cleaning up their leftover dishes, but then placed the plates with leftover food on them onto a tray, and then started walking towards our table? And to our disbelief, he placed those plates full of leftovers on our table.
Here you go. This is the food that your family can pay for.
But what the hell is this? This is other people's leftovers!
For your peasant family, Paige, this is probably the limit. Now hurry up and eat this and get out. Next time, please choose a restaurant that's more suitable for your wallets.
Oh, why does he have to take it this far? I can't hold it anymore. I need to say something. As I said, I stood up. Phoebe grabbed my arm and stopped me. What? That was when my dad opened his mouth.
I see. I understand. Also, you're fired. What?
Fired? What the heck is he saying? Paul and I were the only ones who were confused. My mother and Phoebe and Kevin were all smiling from ear to ear like they were expecting this.
It's showtime! Ta-da!
What's going on?
You don't need to come to work from tomorrow. Huh? Why should you be able to tell me that, old man?
My father didn't run any restaurant business. And yet, he was telling Gordon that he was fired? Could it be that he's trying to plan to act like the restaurant owner to corner Gordon?
If you think you can fire me, then I dare you to try! What is this commotion?
And that was when someone who looked like he might be the owner of the restaurant appeared. Dad, this is definitely not good. This is a crisis! But then, even though the owner appeared, my father didn't budge.
Oh, sir, this peasant family's taking a terrible attitude with us, even though all I did was to inform them that this is an expensive restaurant.
Excuse me! You're the one that's been taking a terrible attitude this whole time. Even though we said we're prepared to pay, you haven't brought us any of the food from the tasting menu we reserved, or the wine that we ordered at Cheers.
Is that true?
Yeah, of course it's true.
But more importantly, sir, this old man started saying out of nowhere that he's gonna fire me. He must be crazy to try to pretend like he's you, the real owner. Are you stupid? When did I ever say that I'm the owner of this restaurant? I never said a word about that, did I?
Huh, that's true. He never said that.
Huh? The only person who has the right to fire me is the real owner right here. Obviously I know that. But I'm talking about firing you from your main job.
Huh? Main job? When he heard those words, Gordon's confident face suddenly went pale, and he was a different person standing there.
You're Gordon, who works at Pani Pani Trading Company, aren't you?
What? He works at your company, Dad? This guy?
Your dad's company?
My dad then turned to Gordon, who was shaking in his pants, and handed him his business card.
Well, Gordon, I wouldn't tell you to remember every single person who works at Pani Pani Trading Company. There are more than 1,000 employees after all. But you know, at the very least, you should know the faces of the president, which is me, and the CEO, Miss Penny here. President? CEO? Paige's parents? This must be a joke!
Gordon dropped the business card that he received and he crumbled on the spot. That was when I finally understood why my parents were so calm this entire time against this guy's terrible attitude. That's what I told you, didn't I? I could see it. The faces of Mom and Dad smiling. So, Paige, go ahead and teach this man the truth. Tell him the reality. Yes, ma'am.
What the hell is this? What? Huh? So are you telling me that this guy was working at your company? And also working here, Dad? No!
Surely you're not going to try and deny it now, are you? But still, Mom and Dad, I'm amazed that you guys remembered an employee like this who seemed so useless. Well, of course we do. Because it hasn't even been 1 year since he entered the company and he's full of mistakes. Entry-level mistakes. And complaints over the phone as well as reports with misinformation. 80% of the mistakes that have been reported to us are all this guy. It seems that they put him around to coffee duties because there was nowhere else for him. But he doesn't even know how to turn on the switch for the automatic doors. So we've gotten many reports that he's a completely useless problem child. The managers have been discussing when and how to let him go. So that's why, as soon as we came into this restaurant, I noticed that this must be the brainless, useless Gordon that I've heard so much about.
Brainless? Useless?
As brainless as a pear. Exactly, Paige. Having a second job without company permission is already a major problem for us. So with this, we can fire you without any hesitation.
What? Please, wait a minute! Please at least spare me from being fired, anything but that! If I don't have my job anymore, how am I supposed to survive from now on?
Why don't you just work full-time at this restaurant then? It's full of employees that look at people that assume they are poor and laugh at them, so you must feel right at home here.
No way! There's no way I can live off of such a cheap salary like this! The hourly is $9 with no tips! They just take a lot of money from the customers, but they only pay us $9 an hour! The owner's a cheap bastard!
Whoa, did you forget that the owner is standing right next to you?
Sorry for being a cheap bastard then! Yeah! Sir! Since when were you standing there? I made an appearance a long time ago! You already forgot that? But why is the owner here? Even though you only show your face around here on payday so that everybody thanks you!
I see. This is the owner, and that's why the staff are like this.
Earlier, I got a call from the regular, Mr. Thomas. He said that the staff were taking outrageous attitudes and that he was furious. What? But I gave the proper customer service to Mr. Thomas. As usual, we gave him free dessert, and I opened the door for him and walked him out. Right, guys? Wait, you guys?
The other employees had gone completely pale from the turn of events, and they were all silent. They were all looking down and shaking in their pants.
Obviously, Mr. Thomas was talking about your attitude towards this family over here.
Even the owner was holding his head at this situation. Paige, why don't you tell this man what he needs to hear? I guess I have no choice. Miss Paige shall teach little Gordon a lesson. Gordon, customer service is what happens when you figure out what the customer is asking for and to be able to respond to that appropriately. For example, if it's a couple, you keep your distance from them, and right around the time that their conversation stops, you can offer another drink, or to support any conversations about the food. For solo diners, to figure out whether they're the type that likes to talk or not while you take their order, or if anybody is confused on how to eat, to nonchalantly guide them through the meal. But what I can tell you is that there isn't a single restaurant these days that's going to try to push customers out just because they're poor.
But, because...
Whenever a customer makes a reservation, that gives them the right to dine at the restaurant. And yet, you were trying to tell us to leave because you think we're poor? And on top of that, you were bringing leftovers from the other table. What part of this is customer service?
Gordon! What the hell have you done? Because...
And you, Mr. Owner, why are you acting like you're also a victim here?
What?
What do you mean, what? I don't care how expensive your restaurant might be. It's unbelievable that you would hire people like this and then leave them to do whatever they want. And it's not just this guy. All of the employees have been enjoying laughing at any customers that they think look poor. If you're the owner of a restaurant, then you should be checking in, not only on payday and regardless of whether there's been part-time or full-time employees, make sure that they are given proper customer service and to direct them to do so. I bet the kitchen is also in a pretty ridiculous state as well.
What?
Because look around. Most of your customers have left a lot of food unfinished.
You're right.
So what you all have done here is to take the excitement of all these people who have saved up their money to dine here with the people that they love and disappointed many of these people from the moment they open the doors. Customers may not be able to fire employees, but they do have the power to choose where they dine, and we will never come to a place like this again.
Even if you people don't come here, this is a restaurant where you can't get a reservation anyway. So that's not even going to leave a dent in our business. If the people of Pani Pani Trading Company who are going to fire me so easily stop coming here, then that's better for me. Isn't that right, sir? Paige, teach him that thing. Sir?
Got it! A busy day for Mrs. Page. Pani Pani Trading Company has been putting a lot of effort into imported wines. There are multiple products that only Pani Pani Trading Company can import into this country. But surely even you know that despite being fired a few minutes ago. Right, Gordon?
What?
He clearly didn't know this. What was this guy even doing at work every day? I can imagine there will be many customers who will feel no need to come to this restaurant if the wine that they're seeking is no longer here. And as the CEO, now that I've declared that we won't be using this restaurant at all...
Mrs. Pani Pani Trading Company, we will be firing Gordon as well, so please, is there any way that we can ask you to continue doing business with us?
The restaurant owner had turned pale and he started crying to my parents.
Fired? If I'm fired from this place, how am I supposed to survive?
Figure that out yourself.
You don't like the low salary. You said it yourself. So why don't you go find a job with a higher salary then? No way! Well then, sir, Mr. Potty Potty, please don't throw me away! I promise I won't have a second job anymore! Please don't fire me!
Gordon suddenly dropped down on his knees and was begging at my parents' feet, but...
I'm starving. Why don't we all go out to eat now?
My dad beautifully ignored Gordon.
Mr. Potty Potty Trading Company, about your business with our restaurant.
I want to try eating that thing, the one with the melty cheese. And my mom ignored, just like my dad.
Oh yeah, raclette cheese! Madam, as long as there's beer and sashimi, I don't mind wherever we go. As long as the whole family can eat happily.
Dad, you say some good things sometimes.
Sir? What do you mean sometimes? Phoebe, is there any restaurant around here where you could eat lacrosse and sashimi with beer?
You mean raclette? But a restaurant with raclette cheese and sashimi? I can see it. All of us sitting in a pub with a red rooftop cheering with beer and wine. It exists.
Oh, that restaurant! It's the one called Cheese and Sashimi that's owned by member number 1435 of our Cheese and Sashimi Research Club that I'm a part of. And for the record, I'm the club president. Ta-da!
Classic Kevin. And the rest of my family who doesn't say anything in regards to that.
I'll call him and let him know that we're all coming, and ask him to reserve a table. Ta-da!
Alright, let's go and properly celebrate over there.
Yeah, let's! About that contract with our restaurant. No way! No way! It's over! Please, anything but firing me! What?
We brushed off the two of them as they were crying to us, and in order to properly celebrate our parents' wedding anniversary, we moved to that other pub. The restaurant owner was very kind and hospitable, and when we told him that it was our parents' wedding anniversary, he even sent out a few extra dishes. Thanks to them, we were able to have a very fun wedding anniversary celebration in the end. After that, Gordon was fired from my dad's company, and he was also sued for the very high cost of damages from his mistakes. Paul was depressed that he chose the wrong restaurant, but my parents were extremely grateful that they were given the opportunity to fire brainless, useless Gordon. Oh, that's right. Gordon was also fired from the restaurant. I heard now that he's riddled in debt. All day and night he's being forced to work shady jobs by the debt collectors. After my dad's company turned their back on the restaurant, it collapsed soon after. It seems that all of the pathetic employees also had to go into debt, and none of them are able to lead a decent life. Especially that man who is the owner. I heard that his affair was also discovered by his wife, and that he divorced his wife and she collected a huge settlement fee from him. It's my dream to be a married couple like you guys, Mom and Dad. It's amazing how you both understand each other without even having to put it into words.
What are you talking about? I still don't know anything about your mother.
Huh? Are you sure about that? Oh, I'm gonna get pudding for dessert. Mom, you'll also get the pudding too, right?
Obviously, your mom's going to go for the chocolate cake, and a bitter tea with that.
Oh my, you actually remembered what I like. That's my honey. This is why I love you. My mom said that to him. My dad's face turned bright red.
Well, yeah. I've been listening to you say chocolate cake for 30 years now.
Oh, Dad, look at you blushing. But my mom knew that he would be happy to hear that, and I think she's amazing as well. I hope someday I can become an amazing couple like them. But before that, I need to find myself a boyfriend first. My name is Paige. I'm a 25-year-old full-time housewife. I live with my husband, Michael, but I have to tell you, we are newlyweds and we're on cloud 9. You don't need to do that, so just leave it, Michael. You finally have a day off of work today, so just relax.
Well, I can't really relax unless I'm cleaning.
I guess you are a janitor by trade after all.
Yeah, the CEO says to me a lot that the lifestyle that you lead in private has an effect on the way that you work in public.
Yeah, that's true. I think I had the same thing. Before we got married, I felt that way when I was working in an office. When I saw colleagues or bosses who had organized bags and was always keeping their desks clean, I knew that they were people who could handle clients respectfully and politely.
That's right. The way that you are on a regular basis really shows in your work.
Yeah, but that being said, you finally have a day off today, so I really want you to relax today. Oh, I know. Later, do you want to go to that Healthland place that newly opened in the town over? I heard they have all kinds of saunas and baths. People are raving about it.
Oh, great idea! I've been curious about that place too. Let's go!
Yeah, but Michael, you better not start cleaning at Healthland too.
I'll try to be careful.
As you can see, Michael was always proactive about helping to clean the apartment, so our living room, our kitchen, our toilets, and bathtub were always sparkling clean. He also helps out with other chores around the house and really is the most amazing husband. However, even though we're happy like this now, until the day that we got married, we went through all kinds of difficulty. When I was in high school, I was friends with a girl named Nancy. At that time, we often did everything together. Hey, did you hear? Apparently Beverly has a boyfriend. Beverly was in the same class as us, and sometimes on the weekend, Nancy, Beverly, and I would hang out as a trio. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Hey, don't you think that's awful? What awful? Because don't you remember? We made an agreement together that we don't need any boyfriends. Huh? No, from what I remember, that was just because Nancy was the only one that said, if any of us get a boyfriend, then we won't be able to hang out as much anymore, so let's all be single forever! And she declared that by herself. Can't you see that she betrayed us? We can't hang out with Beverly anymore. Wait, what? Why is that the conclusion? Because I can't forgive her for this! Oh, come on, just for that? No, this is ridiculous. But also, why can't you be happy for your friend's happiness? For a few days after that, I understood this by watching Nancy, but it turned out that Nancy was just jealous of Beverly, who had a boyfriend, and she said all of that out of envy. Well, I didn't really mind, and so I continued to talk and hang out with Beverly, as usual. Nancy didn't seem too happy about it, but all of the girls in class were already separated into their own friend groups. If Nancy separated herself from us, it was very likely that she'd be left alone in class. Perhaps because she was afraid of that, Nancy didn't complain to me or try to confront me about being friends with Beverly. At that time in high school, I was a plain student and I was a super nerd. So back in high school, I never dated any boys or anything like that. That's why at the time I was never the subject of Nancy's envy, and that's probably why I was able to remain friends with her the whole time. However, a few years after we graduated from high school, I was able to meet the man of my dreams, Michael. After we started dating, he proposed to me and we were engaged. Right after I graduated from high school, I left my hometown and went to a big college in the city, and I got my first job at a company in the city as well. Because of that, Nancy and I only kept in touch comments on posts on social media from time to time. But of course, I was planning on inviting Nancy to the wedding. Now that we were grown adults, I'm sure she wouldn't tell me not to get married or call me a traitor. A lot has happened since then, but I still wanted to treasure my friends from high school. However, a week after I'd sent out all the wedding invitations, I suddenly got a phone call from Nancy. Hello, Paige! Wow, it's you, Nancy! It's been so long. How have you been? That's not important right now. I just got your wedding invitation, Paige. Oh, you got it? I'm so glad. I really wanted you to come to the wedding. No, I mean, I would love to say congratulations to you, but what? Paige, before you get married, you didn't even tell me that you had a fiancé or that you even had a boyfriend. Huh? And even on social media, you didn't post anything about having a boyfriend or that you were even gonna get married. I'm kinda shocked. Like, why didn't you tell me? Well, you know, we haven't seen each other in years. I thought it would be annoying for me to suddenly message you just because I had a boyfriend. Because we're all grown up now and I figured you're busy with work too, right? It's not like anything that I have to post on social media either, so... What? But I was shocked. Well, even if you were shocked... And first of all, back when we were in high school, we had an agreement that we wouldn't make boyfriends. There it is. I can't believe that she's still talking about that agreement we never actually made about boyfriends. Wait a minute, hold on? If I remember correctly, Nancy was posting photos of herself with her boyfriend on social media until recently, wasn't she? When I remembered that, I decided to try and ask her about it. Hey, you're talking about the agreement about not having boyfriends or whatever, but you have a boyfriend too, don't you? Hey, Paige, you're so mean! Come on, get the hint! Huh? Can't you tell that I recently haven't posted anything about my boyfriend on social media? Obviously, it's because I was dumped and I'm super hurt right now. And on top of that, I can't believe that you also betrayed me, Paige. I can't live like this anymore. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What about the agreement? What about the agreement that you just brought up yourself? Oh, Paige, you're so mean. Okay. Oh, I see. What this means is that even though she just got dumped and she's heartbroken, how dare I send her a wedding invitation and how dare I be happy? So even though she brings up that argument, she doesn't have to abide by those rules herself. I started to think that it was a pain to continue this conversation, so... Yeah, sure. All right, sorry that I wasn't able to catch that. It's not like I'm saying you have to force yourself to come to the wedding. It's okay if you don't come. That's what I said on the phone, but then... No, I'll go. Huh? I'll go. Plus, you didn't bite me after all. Sure. Well then, I'm really looking forward to it. Those were Nancy's words, and she was laughing when she hung up the phone. Even though she was angry just a few seconds ago, she suddenly started laughing. Is there something wrong with Nancy's head? Anyway, I was able to finish that strange phone call, and I was relieved. However, I was starting to think that maybe I shouldn't have sent Nancy the invitation. That being said, there's no way that I could send out the invitation and then try to take it back and ask her not to come. If it's Nancy, I'm sure she's not gonna do anything that bad anyway. And so I prepared a seat for Nancy at the wedding, and it was finally the big day. Even though this was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives, at the wedding reception, it was a disaster. And that was because... Wow, you're so handsome! Would you like to exchange phone numbers? Across the wedding venue, Nancy was putting on a baby voice and going around to all of the tables full of Michael's friends, trying to hit on all of them. In particular, she got hung up on this man named Mr. Kevin who was sitting at one of the front tables. Nice to meet you. My name is Nancy. Do you mind if I sit next to you?
I believe we all have designated seats, and it's not time to get up yet. So I think it might be best for you to return to your seat.
Oh, please, don't blush so much. Oh, you can just call me Nana, okay?
Sure.
And before I leave this place today, I'm definitely gonna get your number, okay? I think I just fell in love with you at first sight. Oh wow, Mr. Kevin looks like he's really bothered by her. But it was true, Mr. Kevin was definitely handsome, and I get it, he's handsome, but there's a time and a place, and this is not it. Not only that, but earlier, immediately after the wedding ceremony at the chapel, when Michael and I were being showered by confetti as we walked down the aisle, I saw very clearly that Nancy was looking the other way with an irritated look on her face. Even though she said, "You invited me, so I'll go," she looked miserable. What on earth was she thinking? Anyway, once the wedding is over, I don't think I'll keep in touch with Nancy anymore. However, things were about to get worse. The incident happened when at the wedding reception, there was a video being played about how Michael and I met. The MC started to introduce us and said, "The groom, Mr. Michael, is currently working as a janitor," and it was at that moment. What? Seriously? No way! Well, this is the person that was going to marry Paige, so I didn't think it was going to be anyone amazing anyway, but to your husband is a janitor? He's at the bottom of society, isn't he? Oh, wow, that was even better than I expected! What did you just say? I was planning on ruining your wedding today after you betrayed me, but I just met an amazing man and was thinking about how I killed two birds with one stone, but I didn't even need to get my hands dirty for this. Your husband is a janitor. There's no way you're gonna be happy. Oh, thank goodness. I see, so that's the reason why you came here today? Wait, that's not what I should be thinking about right now. Hey, Nancy! In order to try to stop her from saying anything further, I tried to raise my voice from the table in front to get her to stop, but she didn't. Oh man, I'm so sorry for saying that you betrayed me, Paige. You and I are gonna be friends forever. Even though I was sure she could hear me, Nancy didn't even try to stop talking. Nancy, that's enough already. Even still, a janitor, huh? You really couldn't find anyone even a little bit better than that? Are you serious that you want to become the wife of a janitor? Nance, forgive me, okay, Paige? Since you have a husband that's at the bottom of society, I'm probably going to end up happier than you, Paige, because I was able to get close to this person here today, and I'm going to go home with him! As she said that, Nancy turned to Mr. Kevin and grabbed him by the arm. How dare you! Listen when someone is trying to speak to you! Even though she's always had bully tendencies, I didn't think that she grew up to be like this. The worst! And sitting next to me, Michael was boiling and I could tell that he was furious. I needed to ask the staff to kick her out of the venue as soon as possible. However, in just a few moments, karma was about to come crashing down on Nancy. Well, it was exactly as I imagined anyway. Well then, Nancy didn't have a clue as to what kind of situation she was in, and so she continued to belittle Michael's job out loud in front of everyone, but... Still, I feel so sad for you. Even though you're just plain old Paige, I was never gonna forgive you for getting married before me, but now I just feel sad for you. Anyway, more importantly, hey, let's exchange numbers. Nancy then got herself closer to Mr. Kevin, but it was at that moment.
Get away from me.
What?
I said, get away from me!
There was a dark aura around Mr. Kevin when he raised his voice. Nancy must have been terrified because she fell backwards, shuffling all the way back to our table. Why are you so angry? There were question marks all around Nancy's head, and she looked like she was about to cry after getting yelled at by a handsome man. That was when I stood up and came in front of Nancy. Hey, do you not understand the situation? I asked her. What situation? Judging by your reaction, you don't know. Most of the guests sitting on the groom's side of the venue are janitors themselves. Huh? That was when Nancy finally seemed to understand that she was being glared at by almost all the guests on Michael's side of the venue. And for the record, the janitors weren't the only ones that were completely shocked by Nancy's words just now. Everyone was in that venue was glaring at Nancy with cold eyes. But also, at any wedding, would it be safe to assume that a number of the groom's colleagues would be in attendance as guests of the wedding, don't you think? And yet, in front of many janitors themselves, you were belittling them and laughing at them? It's the same thing as barging into a group of enemies, spreading your arms wide open and telling them to take you down. Seriously, what are you thinking? How stupid can you be? But because... For the record, the Mr. Kevin you were trying to hit on this whole time is actually the CEO of the janitor company where Michael works. What did you say? That was when Nancy gasped and she looked over at Mr. Kevin once again.
The bottom of society, huh? You underestimate janitors, don't you? Without janitors, you would be waist deep in trash.
Nancy crumbled to the ground and covered her head. Don't you realize that it's because of janitors that companies and other places that we use every single day remain clean? That's the only reason why we're able to work and shop and live in clean places. But also, the dirtiest place of all is inside that brain of yours. What? Talking about trying to destroy someone's wedding and going around and hitting on all of the guests there? Seriously, your mind and heart are both filthy. It's no wonder why you were dumped by your boyfriend. How obvious!
If anything, I can't possibly imagine that there was a man who wanted to date a woman like this. That's shocking.
That was when Nancy stood up, and perhaps from anger or from the embarrassment, her face was bright red. Ugh! Even though you're just plain little Paige, who do you think you are? She stood up screaming. Then she ran over to the nearest table and started grabbing plates and glasses and throwing them towards me. But in an instant, the wedding venue staff grabbed her and pinned her down. Let go! Let go of me! Why is this happening to me? Ah! After that, with the help of the venue staff as well as all the janitors in attendance, the venue that Nancy trashed was instantly cleaned up and the wedding reception resumed as though nothing had happened. After being taken outside by the staff, apparently Nancy was still throwing a tantrum and she started breaking all kinds of things around the venue, including expensive decorations and vases. And so, of course, the venue then sued Nancy for an extremely high cost of damages. Because of that, Nancy's parents also found out about how she tried to destroy somebody's wedding and the tantrum that she threw. It turned out that all this time Nancy had been unemployed and she was just rolling around at home all day. Her parents didn't know what to do and were troubled by her, but this incident must have been the final straw. I heard that she was sent off by her parents to a relative's hotel to live and work there. Her parents fronted the costs of damages to the venue first, but in order to pay them back, and also to fix that rotten personality of hers, they made her go and work there as a janitor. Apparently, that hotel had a pretty strict and scary hotel manager, and from the very first day, Nancy was crying that she wanted to go home. But of course, there was no way that anybody was going to listen to those complaints. I heard that after being worked day and night and getting yelled at by the hotel staff, nowadays she's completely lost weight and aged years. I heard all this from Nancy's parents, who came to apologize to Michael and me and to pay us the settlement fee for the trouble that their daughter caused. It seems like it's gonna take decades to pay back the debt that she has to her parents for all of these fees, but she did this to herself. Well then, on the other hand, for me, I am still living the happiest days with my husband. That reminds me, the other day, Mr. Kevin came over to our house.
Miss Page, thank you very much for the other day.
What are you thanking me for?
I may be the CEO, but there are times that I go and work on site myself. And it's not rare for janitors to be belittled and laughed at like that. People say that it's a job that anybody can do, that it's a lowly job. But when you spoke about us like that at your wedding, I felt it deep in my heart.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. No, I shouldn't be apologizing to you for that. Things became such a disaster there.
Not at all. It was a wonderful wedding. I truly am so touched. You and Michael are a beautiful husband and wife. That's right. Paige really is the most beautiful wife.
Hey, Michael, don't make such a face in front of your own CEO. But I'm really happy to hear you say that, Mr. Kevin. Thank you for always looking after us.
The name's Paul. I'm 45. I work from home. This is my wife, Jenna, and my daughter, Kelly. We recently moved here. Jenna worked at the office, so I got to spend more time with Kelly than she did. One day, I was out taking a walk with Kelly.
Dad, look at all these houses. They're so big.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll get to make a lot of new friends here.
Hey.
Then my sister Pam showed up. Pam, what are you doing here?
Oh, I was just in the neighborhood running some errands. Look what I got. Here, Kelly, it's for you. It's pudding.
Thank you so much.
Sure thing. You're so adorable, Kelly.
Thanks, sis. You want to come over later for dinner or something?
I'd love to, but I've got errands to run, so maybe some other time?
Gotcha. Jenna really wants to see you too. So maybe we can have a nice barbecue out in the yard this weekend.
Sounds like fun. Can't wait. Well, I gotta go. See you guys later.
So we said goodbye and continued on with our walk.
Can't wait for the BBQ. It's gonna be so much fun.
We really loved this town. Everyone seemed really nice, and I was really glad that we moved here. But then we ran into this woman at the park, and she was trouble.
Look at them. Hey, you shouldn't point, Blair. Yeah, don't be rude.
There were 3 women there, and their kids were all playing in the park. And this one woman, she was pointing at me and laughing. She had this really expensive-looking handbag, and everything she was wearing was designer. Why is she laughing at me?
Sorry, but it was just too funny. I mean, look at him. What is a grown man doing out in the park on a weekday? It's just so pathetic. He probably doesn't have a job.
She was talking to her friends, but I could hear her every word. Ugh. I was starting to get annoyed.
Hey now, don't be rude. Yeah, he's spending time with his daughter. That's a good thing. Are you guys talking back to me now? My husband is the CEO of the company your husbands work at. Don't forget that. I make one phone call and your husbands will be gone.
Wow, I can't believe there are people like her in real life. I was annoyed, but more than that, I was really surprised. Then a few days later, something happened. I was outside taking a walk by myself.
Oh, look what we got here.
That woman started running up to me, and it was that woman from the park. Ah, it's her again. What was her name? I think it was Blair or something. Then her friends showed up. She started staring at me. Then she said,
What are you wearing? And you look really poor. You must be a burglar.
Excuse me? I really didn't know what to tell her.
Bless, stop it. Wait, he's the guy we saw at the park the other day. Yeah, I remember him. He was really handsome, so...
Shut up, you guys!
She told her friends to stop talking. Then she continued,
You stay out of our neighborhood. Don't even think about causing trouble. Most of the residents here, they all work for my husband's company. This place is for the elites. Clearly you don't belong here. You're trying to rob us, aren't you? Well, it's not gonna work. I won't let you get out of here.
Actually, I recently moved here and...
Be quiet! I'm calling the cops right now.
Cops?
Yeah!
Hey now, hold on. He hasn't done anything.
But I know he's trouble. I can sense it. He's up to no good.
Hold on. What did I do exactly? I've done nothing wrong.
Look at him, he's sweating. He's guilty for sure.
Excuse me? There's just no talking to her.
I don't know if you should call the cops again. Yeah, you've been calling them a lot lately.
Be quiet!
A few minutes later, the cops arrived. But as soon as the officers saw Blair, they let out a big sigh and said, "Not her again." Then the cops started asking me a few questions. And when I told them what happened, they started talking to this woman named Blair. Apparently, every time she saw someone like me, she called the cops. The cops didn't know what to do about her.
What are you yelling at me for? He's the one lurking around the neighborhood looking like a homeless person. If he doesn't want to get reported, he should dress better. This is a rich neighborhood, you know.
Well, I wasn't that well dressed. She was right about that. But how is this any of her business? You accused me of being a burglar. You're not going to even apologize to me? You should be ashamed of yourself.
What did you say to me?
She started flipping out. The cops and her friends had to hold her down. Then one of her friends looked at me and said,
I've seen him before. I can't remember where though.
I didn't have time to stick around, so I just said, "Excuse me," and went back to my house. A few weeks later, it was Parents' Day at my daughter's school. Jenna was working that day, so she couldn't make it, so I went there by myself. Where's her classroom? Ah, this must be it. But then when I opened the door...
Yeah, my child won first prize at the essay contest.
Ugh, Blair. Oh no. Wait, so her kid and my kid are in the same class? That can't be good. I tried to stay out of her sight, but then...
Hey, it's you, the burglar.
What? She started pointing and yelling at me. Everyone turned around and started staring at me. Kelly had no idea what was going on. What the hell's her problem? I tried to say something, but...
Hey, that was just a misunderstanding, remember? Yeah, that's enough, Blair.
It was the two women she was with the other day. Looks like their kids were in the same class as well. People started talking, but they were saying things like, "Not this again!" So, I guess they were used to this. But what about the kids? What if they believe her and what if my daughter gets picked on because of it? I can't let that happen! I had it up to here with this woman!
It's not my fault he dresses like a homeless person. That's on him, not me. Why are you here on a weekday? Are you unemployed or something?
Huh?
Today is a Monday. Don't you have a job? Look around you. You're the only dad here. Normal people have jobs on Monday.
I looked over at Kelly, and she looked really upset. I can't let her get away with this. I decided to strike back. I took out my phone and started texting. This will show her. She kept going on and on, telling the other parents how pathetic I was. When the teacher arrived, she finally stopped. But then, after class was over...
Hey, you! You disrespected me in front of everyone. Apologize to me.
What was she talking about? If anything, she owes me an apology. I ignored her and started walking away. but she started following me around, talking nonstop. Her friends tried to stop her, but
Hey, Bless, stop it.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything wrong.
they tried to calm her down, but it didn't work.
Be quiet!
She yelled at them, but then
Huh? What are all these people doing here?
there was a crowd outside. Something was going on. I looked over the crowd, and the person I texted earlier was there. Good. Everything's going according to plan. So I went into the crowd.
Hey, wait!
Blair and her friends started following me. But then,
What is this? Whose car is this? This thing looks super expensive.
Blair had no idea what was going on. There was this big, black, luxury sedan parked out front. A driver wearing a suit was standing next to the car. Then when he saw me, he said, "There you are, Mr. President!"
Mr. President?
Blair was really confused. She started looking around her, trying to figure out who she was talking about. It was kind of funny. I said hello to my driver and got in the back seat of the sedan. Then,
What?
Blair started flipping out.
What the hell? I thought you were unemployed.
I never said that. This car was mine, and this was my butler. Sorry to call you at the last minute. I was gonna walk home with Kelly, but she was really confused.
Who are you?
Then,
Daddy!
Kelly came running up to me.
All my friends are talking about you. They're saying how cool you are. And a boy in my class, he said there was no way you were a burglar.
Ah, I see. Sorry about all that.
Huh? Why are you apologizing? You're the best dad ever. I love you. You got nothing to apologize for.
I gave her a big hug and got in the car. Well, I better go. Excuse me, I said to Blair, and got into the back seat to head home. But then,
I remember now. He's a really famous painter. I think you have some of his paintings at your house.
What?
Yeah, I saw him on TV the other day too. His work is worth a lot of money.
that's right. I was an artist. My wife and I had our own company, which managed and promoted my work. My wife was in charge of sales. That's why she was always working outside. As for me, my job was to stay home and paint. That's why I always wore dirty clothes.
But how? If you're rich, why do you send your child to a public school? He's an imposter. You can't fool me.
Growing up, I attended public school. My wife, on the other hand, went to private school. When it was time for Kelly to start school, we had to talk about this. And my wife, who has never been to public school before, thought it'd be better for her to go to public school because she had trouble fitting into society as a grown-up.
He's lying. This is probably a rental. He's just trying to get back at me.
Rental. I don't know about that.
Whatever, I'm not done talking to you. Get out of the car now!
She tried to open the door, but my butler stopped her before she could do anything. He scared her good. She fell on her bottom. Then the butler got in the car and drove off. But then that night, Blair and her husband came over to our house to apologize.
I had no idea my husband's company did business with your sisters. I'm truly sorry.
So as it turns out, Pam's company was one of their biggest clients. What are the odds, right? When I ran into her the other day, she was actually in town for a meeting with her husband. She also told him that I recently moved into town, and he was a big fan of my work, so he was really excited. They said they had a few of my paintings at their house. I guess her husband likes my paintings. Blair, who still thought I was an imposter, told her husband about what happened, and I guess he started connecting the dots. So he came over and made her apologize to me. Oh, and her son? He apparently had a crush on Kelly, and he was very upset with her too. The boy who defended her, it was her son. I smiled at Blair's husband and accepted his apology. I hear you're a fan of my work. I'm honored. Please, come on in.
What about me?
Huh? Not you. Then I shut the door on her. She started screaming in anger, but my door was pretty thick, so after I shut the door, we could no longer hear her. Then a few days later, Blair's husband filed for a divorce. He knew she was causing all kinds of trouble around the neighborhood, and he said he's been thinking about it for a while now. And after Parents' Day, he decided it was enough. Needless to say, her husband got custody. Her parents were long gone, so she had nowhere to go to. She had no choice but to get a job, but she got fired within a few weeks. She couldn't hold a job. No surprises there. Then she snuck into one of the neighbors' houses and started living in the attic, but she got caught a few weeks later and ended up going to prison. Sucks for her, but oh well. As for me, now that she was gone, peace returned to the neighborhood. Kelly made a lot of new friends and life was good. That weekend, we invited Pam over for a barbecue party.
Here you go, Aunt Pam.
Thank you. Wow, this smells delicious. Hey, Kelly, I heard the boys at school are all over you. Can't say I blame them, though. You're the prettiest girl ever.
What? Is that true?
Yeah, look at her. She's super pretty.
Hey, Kelly, maybe you should introduce me to some of your guy friends.
Oh, stop it. You're being paranoid.
I'm just worried, that's all. But one day, you're gonna get married and leave us and...
Daddy, don't cry. Here, eat this.
Thank you, Kelly.
Oh, you guys.
Thank you for watching. What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more.